plenty of notice for when it's going to be going ahead. So if it is something you want to get involved with, I will be sure to circulate it with you all so you can get involved yourselves. And honestly, it's something I would be playing in if I wasn't casting it, in all honesty, not me shilling. Personally, I was really happy to get involved with this because I've been saying for a long while, we need more community tournaments. There's a fair few in the way of showcasey kind of like content creators against content creators kind of tournaments, which is really nice to see, like little event kind of things. But in terms of community tournaments where anybody's free to enter, and most importantly there's a reward that kind of makes it worth your time at the end, we've been a little bit lacking on that. There's been bits here and there, but this tournament's really nice, and if this can become a regular thing, I would be very happy to see it, because I think having a cash prize tournament, it gets more interested in the game, gets you sort of playing to a bit of a higher level, because at least I know I go full try hard in every single tournament, play a little bit better than normal, and always learn a thing or two when I come across somebody who's a little bit better than me, and it's always fun. It's always fun. So I'm very, very happy to see cash tournaments appearing, and hopefully it's a sign for the future. And in terms of other Gwent things, if you're all like me, who broken from the Renfrew meta, we will be getting the notes very, very soon. I believe it should be tomorrow, because the end of the season should be about Tuesday morning, like DET. Depending on where you are in the world, obviously that differs, but for me, 9-10 a.m, something like that. So just another day of this, just one more day, and then we can see what changes. I mean, in terms of what I would like to see for Renfrew to kind of be the meta fixed, is I'm hopefully like channeling this and bringing it into existence just by saying it, but I would love to see Renfrew dropped from like a 7 power body to something much smaller, like looking at something like, a 2 or 3 or 4. Maybe not push it as far as a 2, because maybe that's too much, but certainly drop it to a 4. And I mean, in terms of design, I would love to see, because she has the blessings and the curses, it seems a little weird that both are beneficial. It would be really good if like you had sort of the blessing is like you keep the blessing part being like a nice strong effect, like play a bronze, draw a card, that kind of thing. Damage all the units by 1. If they have different power, then damage them by 2, that kind of thing. But then you have the curse aspect that's a little bit of a drawback. It might have something like destroy your lowest power unit, instead of damage 8 opponents, damage opponents by 8 points, damage your own by 8 points, that kind of thing. But it's all stuff that's kind of play aroundable. So say if you have a lot of armor on your units, so pirates and Scoia'tael could benefit from that. Damaging your own units by 8 doesn't really matter because you have the armor. Destroying the lowest units, if you only have 1 power units, then you benefit from that. Something like that too. I think it would make the abilities more interesting, and make it feel a lot fairer to play against, and make it less of a just cut and paste, this card is amazing, to just there's different circumstances for each one, which is similar to how Shoop works, where he has lots of different abilities and each one benefits in different scenarios, rather than just every single thing is good, if that makes sense. But that's me ranting a little bit, isn't it? I'm just aware that the tournament should be starting soon. Final, rather. Coin flip. Okay, so they're doing the coin flip, and then we should get added on. Please don't look at my pitiful MMR. It's been a bad run. I haven't actually played any Invigorate. Interesting that that's the one that's on. I was trying some Harmony things and Guerrilla Tactics things, and nothing worked. So it is what it is. So with any luck, I'm waiting to be added as a spectator. But yeah, they're doing the coin flip kind of stuff, and all that stuff. So we do have a little contingency. If it all falls apart, that if I can't get into spectate these games and that kind of thing, we also have Gothic, who's one of the people putting together this tournament, who can put this together, and then he will call me on Discord, share the screen, we still get the game. All's good in the world, you know. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. With any luck, we can get through that next. Because I was pleased to see that we actually got through the last game with no problems, and actually got to watch the game through the tournament client, because I tried to do a tournament quite a while back now, about 6 months ago, through the tournament client. A little bit of a disaster. Just didn't work. Wasn't able to spectate a single match, all that kind of thing. So it's nice to actually be able to use it in its function. It could definitely be well. It could definitely. I think for the future, that's definitely something as well, because we'd see more tournaments if the tournament client was a lot better. Okay. Yeah, so they're setting it up at the moment. Just getting the bands, doing the coin flip. It's all looking good. I just panicked a little bit because I saw that I wasn't down as a spectator on the tournament client to be able to see the game. Also, hello, Gang TV. Oh well, we've got this. We are running on a bit of a delay, so I'm pretty much seeing this now. Should probably put that in my caption as well. In my title, rather. A bit more evident. I didn't want to clog up the screen or anything like that with information and that kind. But yeah, we are running on a delay just to, you know, keep it fair. You would hope in tournaments that people would play fair, stream snipe or anything like that, but unfortunately these things do happen. Not saying anyone in this tournament certainly would, or any of these players certainly would, but you know, these things happen, so it's better to be safe than sorry. Just run a delay, so even if they do watch the stream, they get information basically. If they join, say, round 3, then how the game was starting, for example, they really can't get any information, which is the idea anyway. And yeah, so we're just twiddling our thumbs, waiting for the game. Let's open a cap. Let's see if we can get some streamer luck. Yeah. Hit a legendary. That's the dream, right?
We make smash
even with these resources. No streamer luck. No streamer luck. Not today. Not today. We can hope. We can hope and we can pray. Right, so I've been added as a spectator. We do have the bans in. So we're gonna see Guerrilla Tactics and Double Cross coming up against Onslaught and Guerrilla Tactics. So both players decided to bring the same decks. The Pirates Renfrey, Guerrilla Tactics Renfrey, and Double Cross, which I would assume is Renfrey Assimilate, that kind of thing. And looks like Pirates have been banned out, and Fate has chosen to ban the Double Cross, whereas Saul has decided to ban Onslaught. So the repeat of last round, we're not going to see Pirates and Guerrilla Tactics and nothing else. We will at least get to see a different deck in the form of Double Cross, which will be very interesting because I hold very firmly to the view that Assimilate is it's one of the simplest decks to play, but one of the hardest decks to play well. Because there's so many different avenues you can take. So when, for example, choosing when to use your leader, which units to give spying, should you just use a Torturer for the pointers in the Assimilate engine, or do you need to save it because something may be coming you want to give spying to use Ratowed with, to bleed, what to use? I think it's one of the most decision-heavy decks. That there's a lot of variance between average player and very, very good player. So with any luck, you know, we're watching the final of a tournament. With any luck, Fate is going to be one of those better players. In terms of how you play a matchup as Assimilate, the brief little patch notes of the best way they can possibly play this is if they can get a Renfrey off Double Cross, get spying onto Renfrey, and play their own Renfrey. I would assume they're probably running certain means to get it back into the deck. There is definitely the possibility for 4 Renfrey game, which is obviously very, very scary and a ton of points. However, how you play against that, at least how I personally try and go about playing the matchup, is what you're looking to do is not have Renfrey in hand, which feels very counterintuitive, to say the least. Not wanting one of your best cards in hand, but, you know, put her back in the deck, make sure she can't get pulled with Double Cross. Once you've seen Double Cross, you use your Triss Butterflies, get her back in hand, and then you can delay her. So even if your opponent gets last say, without a Renfrey ability that lets them play a bronze, draw a card, they can't give spying to Renfrey and play their Artaud at the same time. So they only have one card left in hand. You can play Renfrey relatively safely. You know they're not going to get spying, play Artaud. So it's all a game of patience. And we shall see if Better Call Saul does that. And so, yeah, so Fate's going to be going first on blue coin with Nilfgaard. And, yeah, of course, running a Sire, looking to get as many Renfreys as possible. In terms of both the hands, first selection, I'd probably say Fate has come out the better in terms of initial draws. Fortunately, there's a brick, but sometimes you don't mind that. It does mean that your knickers will be coming out in later rounds. But in terms of things missed, you definitely are missing your top end. Turns out that our backup of Gothic, he's having issues seeing the game, so that could have been this. But luckily we can get the cast going. So yeah, we have a very typical start here, nobody wanting to commit anything. Hey Alex, thank you for following, and hello. But yeah, we're running on a bit of a delay, so you'll probably hear this in about 10 minutes. But yeah, very typical start here. Neither wanting to throw out too much, which I think is reasonable. Here is Nilfgaard looking at the hands, confident that Fate can, you know, play out this round. Not too much of a risk of a. Like, you gotta take the Kingslayer. Like, are we gonna see some Kingslayer burn the Renfrey? Oh, could have been it. It could have been it. You have to go for it there. That's the rule. That's the rule. If you see Kingslayer, you have to try it. Have to try it. But yeah, in terms of this hand, for Nilfgaard, you know, you've got to feel okay about the idea of getting out of this round pretty safely. But you still got your Renfrey's gang, although the points up close here. Still got Renfrey's gang, which will play for 13, because it will also boost the Sergeant. And you could even get a little cruel and play the Vilgefortz if you really wanted to try and drag something out. Probably not your best idea in the world, but never quite know. The option's there. That's all I'm saying. The option is there to have one more shot at pulling out that Renfrey. Yeah, depending on rain hits, probably about 14 points difference, maybe 15 points, so that does require a bit of a commitment. That is a commitment. A lot of hammer swings there. Some big armor values. Terror of the Sea and Beyond getting some very big value this game. And here is Nilfgaard. You maybe just take that one and say, okay, fine, we've traded off some stuff. Arguably, they've come off a little better. Seeing out the Gerd, Nilfgaard does tend to get a fair few units on the board with things like Brathens, Howd, Blightmaker, all of them generating multiple bodies a turn. You maybe just on your lucky stars. Looks like that's what they've done. Count your lucky stars that you've seen out something like Gerd, which could be quite threatening later on. Yeah, just taking the value from the Demon ship. And Knickers being Knickers comes out just when you want him. So maybe Nilfgaard benefits there. Maybe Fate actually does get a bit of an advantage there. You know, it's all part of the plan. All part of the plan. Nilfgaard's mulligan's very, very simple. Get rid of the 2 bricks. In terms of Skellige's mulligans, kind of just hunting for your good stuff. Interesting keeping the Renfrey. As I kind of mentioned, without Triss in your hand, it's definitely a risky play to mulligan it back. But it should be in the back of Better Call Saul's mind. Going into round 3, that after this Maxi, looks like Maxi's going to be played. Yeah, they're going to find Triss. They are going to miss Crack and Crit, so maybe they shuffle this. Because the problem is, if you do keep this Renfrey, you are opening yourself up to a double cross. That's an understandable response. Yeah, and in terms of hands, obviously this is for Skellige. And big misses for Nilfgaard as well. Definitely not something you're going to be too happy about seeing, but yeah, there is the Morkvarg. But obviously, missing the out is huge. Yeah, starting with a room mage, very reasonable. Nilfgaard can't do much until their opponent starts doing things and you can't mess it about. But there's some reasonable picks. Parabalista would be fine. GGtoorCity Guard, also a nice one. This is sort of what I was saying during the semi-finals, that there are some buckets are better than others for cards. Northern Realms, for example, a lot of their cards just work in isolation, whereas you have, like, gotta tell, less so. And this, I mean, the Parabalista was an interesting choice. I personally believe that the GGtoorCity Guard was maybe a little better because it does give you that option to move targets if you need to, and Skellige probably more than average have pretty locked stuff in the form of both the birds. You may want to move that, but this is the situation, further compounded by the fact that the Parabalista is nothing but damage, and Skellige's going to have a hell of a lot of armor at this point. And Sol is obviously very happy to see that, because at least the Morkvarg now has a target. And there will definitely be those mind games of kind of how long do you delay things playing around each other. Because as Beck calls Sol, you're kind of in just a terrible situation here where if you play the Renfrey early, it's going to get spying, Artaud's going to get it. If you play the Renfrey late, then Double Cross will find it. So you sometimes just accept it. Obviously, this Roderick will be able to find Artaud. As I said about sort of missing the cards, the problem is if you're having to rely on Roderick to find one of your golds, it does mean that you're missing the Artora, and maybe a good hit, maybe a bad hit. You can make an argument either way. For the Blightmaker, it does mean it dealt 1 damage rather than 2, but it was the only thing without. Maybe it's a good hit. You'd maybe want it onto the Dimon, take off some of that armor, because it's a 1 point a turn engine until it loses the armor, basically. Yeah, and the Fukusha's been found, and that does mean that Crack and Crate is not going to be making an appearance. Yeah. Obviously, Renfrey, through Renfrey shenanigans, Crack and Crate could be found, but as things stand, keep making an appearance. This is kind of what I was saying. Do you play it? Do you play it early? But we are seeing a Brathlands out now. The option, I think, is reasonable. Arguably maybe a little slower than it should have been. Maybe playing that before the Blightmaker may have been the play. Get it down sooner. You're looking to copy an engine. this early in the round, it makes sense to copy an engine. Yeah, bringing down the engines. And praying for the rain hit, which comes. It's a little risky to do because obviously it can go either way. And here as Nilfgaard, you know, what do you do? You maybe copy another bird, try and match that engine kind of response. I don't think it's a line I personally think it's correct because there's a lot of armor. You know yourself from how many units have been damaged. Nearly all of their stuff is going to be down protected. But this Lydia into a Primal Fury, very, very good. Would probably be the pick because you do have a low health target you can get the full value from, kill the one, a 6-point unit. Your other options, armor ups, not that great. Do take the Tears of a Siren. Interesting choice. Don't know if I agree with that one too much. Play for at best 1 point less. But because of the armor, maybe plays for a little less than 1 point. Quite a big difference. And the further thing now, you know, you want to copy that. Probably want to copy that. The range Corsair. Try and get Cataclysm down. Kind of deny that with the rain. Or rather, you deny yourself the value. Let's see, get the is the first of many Renfrews for Fate. Stratagem, damage all. And so here you're kind of just looking for the best options. You're going to play plenty more Renfrews. You're not looking for cooldown. None of the sort of carryover kind of stuff, you know, boost your unit based on what's next to it. You don't want the carryover stuff. You just want the impact stuff, which looks like the gunfire, you know, boosted 12. You're looking for that. Just straight in, tons of points. Job's done. Yeah, stratagems 12. You played for what? 9, 11, 20, 27. 27 for your first Renfrey is not terrible. So, right, the Torturer does come down. So, unfortunately, only going to be the 2 Renfreys. Just looking at the graveyard. Yeah, there actually is no Gallagher cards that can be played by Gusha. So I guess that does make sense, doesn't it? Mortard's going to get his value in this matchup. You can play this somewhat to your advantage because they are going to delay their Renfrey. But that is a very awkwardly health board where a Curse of Envy dealing 2 is going to absolutely decimate you for points. Right now, Curse of Envy would play for 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Just 16 points right there. And there's another 4 cards to come. It would very big play. Yep, Roderick. Choices were always guaranteed. You see the art out now. And of course, there's only one option. Not too much to, you know, evaluate there. You do get the kill onto the 1. You get the value. Probably do the same again. Look, copy the range Corsair. 70. Got the Curse of him. Not amazing in terms of the, you know, options. And not only that, the Anchor at Longship actually denied tons of value because of the play an odd next to an even, because it knocked it down to 6. But yeah, this is a horrible situation, pretty much exactly as I described. The Curse of Envy onto that board, spending all those turns getting the damage in really did its work. And those Ancrate Longships have arguably been the MVPs, setting everything to damaged. Was a lot more impactful than it initially appeared, because you are obviously setting up those units to again get damaged even further. And it's going to take a bit of a miracle here. But again, Renfrey creates miracles, right? Too sure what you can realistically do here as Nilfgaard's trying to scrape back these points. You do have 9 points, so you're down by 30. It's probably just Vilg onto Bjorn. But you are aware you haven't seen a error. You would assume that they don't have the Kraken crate of all the cards to come out. Yeah, this is definitely not the situation you're looking for as Nilfgaard. Again, the threat of Skellige. I think maybe a little bit of incorrect placement there. Probably want to play it next to the Kraken crate to get the value from the armor. There's not going to be a 23-point unit. Although, no, actually, I'm wrong. They played that correctly. Get more points from the block. And even with Renfrey, still not enough. Still not enough. The Saul is running away early with that win. It's a little bit awkward of a match for Nilfgaard, but definitely not the start Fate would have wanted. So we will wait for game 2. So now that that's through, we will see Saul will be on. Hands up. Fate. Thor will be on Guerrilla Tactics. And going first. Fate. It's up to Fate what he picks. He can take Double Cross again, or he can go for the mirror match. Taking the mirror match on red coin may definitely be the option. It's how you want to play this. Playing the mirror match on red coin may be the direction you want to go. So I think the correct choice here as Fate is to maybe take your Guerrilla Tactics, look to get that mirror match out of the way. On red coin, it's kind of your best situation, and then to double cross on blue coin. Obviously, you don't get to have a bit of red coin abuse like Nilfgaard likes to do so much, but okay, they value in the red coin abuse much higher, accepting that they may do play the mirror from blue, which isn't terrible, you know. Guerrilla Tactics can definitely get some work done on blue coin. Deckless or brackets. Currently, don't have access to the decklist as far as I'm aware. You know, I'm out of sync. Why am I trying to explain this out loud? Get Shinobi to do it. You'll no doubt be able to get it faster than I can. So yeah, we see Blightmaker out, makes sense. You're running a 50-50 on killing that, which unfortunately doesn't make. A little bit of a sequencing error. there, you know, playing out the Swordsmaster before using the order on the first one could have reduced it a bit, but it is what it is. You maybe drop 1 point from that, so that's all. Yeah, but that doesn't matter. As Fate is looking a little. I mean, what do you go for? You probably just throw down the Rune Mage. You know, improve your creates later on. It's always Nilfgaard, right? It's always Nilfgaard. The tanker. Right, to remember the name of the tanker. The tanker is an option. The Calgard is an option. Probably, I was just going to say probably not the Tortoise, just because they have very easy means to take that armor off and get a bit of extra value. But this is going to be a very deadly turn with the Dolbathaner Archer. The 2-1s set up very, very nicely, taking off the armor as well. This is obviously the risk of taking Nilfgaard on red is what's your ability to use that red coin pressure that Nilfgaard's so well known for. They are going for a Brathens. Definitely an interesting choice. I keep saying an interesting choice. It's Blue and I disagree a little bit. I guess if you want to win the round, it's one way of doing it. But I do personally like to keep that Brathens. Yeah, Brathens. Quite used to saying the name of the cards wrong. Definitely like to keep that Brathens available because one of the threats, obviously in pretty much every single GGtoor deck, is that Zoltan getting the Rowdy Dwarves down, Munro, so having access to that good old Infiltrator, being able to damage adjacent units by 3, you plonk one of those between your Rowdy Dwarves, kills them both off nice and easy. And for this deciding, looks like they've gone Artaud. Not Artaud, sorry. Artorius. Too many A names. Far too many A names. Those options, you know, not bad. You can take your Blightmaker, get your thinning done. Obviously a fair few points because Blightmaker. Just gonna say that does give GGtoor a pass, but Nickers being the hero of the hour denies that. And obviously, as Nilfgaard, still have plenty of options. It's a very playable hand for Nilfgaard here. Arguably, that Mage Infiltrator you maybe want to save. But you know, here's GGtoor, you've got options. And does opt for the value on the removal. Not removing a huge threat, but just playing it for the points that come from the removal, which I think is very, very reasonable. I think so. I mean, it's a risky double cross to go for, but it pays off. It obviously pays off very well for him. And his Curse of Envy. Yeah, they've gone for Curse of Wrath, okay. Cooldown, play the lowest. Deal 8 is maybe the best. Okay, pass. Reasonable. Very, very reasonable. And you are obviously panicking a little bit here as Better Call Saul. You know, you're looking at a big, big deficit in points here. Definitely an argument for just holding that leader just a moment later until you played your spy. So you can play down the spy, because they used it to kill the Swordmaster, You put the Duchess Informant between the two Swordmasters. Use that because it deals the excess to adjacents, would have dealt 6, and it would have actually killed both engines. In terms of the hands, very reasonable for Fate. Got your good old Asaya. You can pop that Renfri still back in your deck, and it's actually better to put the stolen Renfri back in your deck purely because it will trigger Assimilate.
Boss doesn't like
you. See the Renfri's gang out. And this is where you'll see the mage. I mentioned just nice and clean response. Kill them both. Back to square one when it comes to setting up rowdy dwarves. And this is kind of the beauty for Fate. They can just keep playing until the cows come home. Very, very playable hand. You want to get the Asaya down. You want to get the Blight Maker down. You know, it's a nice little situation to be in.
I shall be as you command.
Yeah, I don't even. Why am I even checking? We all know what card got shuffled back in. The Renfri gets put back in, and yeah, the Munra and Zoltan out on this bleed is definitely not an amazing situation for Sol here. Arguably might not have needed doing. Not this soon anyway. Maybe a little bit of an overcommitment. Maybe a bit scared of a 2-0. And yeah, Blightmaker can now look at Renfri. Has he put Renfri on top? Must have put a mage, so no, Renfri didn't get put on top. Been Bilgeports or Lydia. Risky play, I guess. But I guess once you find 1 gold, then you're kind of good because of Roderick. I see you can put the Lydia or something like that on top and accept that you're missing the boss, or the other way around. So this is kind of what I meant about it being a little bit of a overinvestment playing the Monroe. Could have just got away with, you know, play the Witcher. They don't lose the card at least. In terms of cards they've missed, still missing a Room Mage. That is not the round 3 hand you're looking. Definitely not. There is still the herb, you know, play the Renfri, that allows you to get the bronze, but doing that means that you miss out on not only the better abilities than that, it also means you have to play it a turn earlier, which means it has access to giving it spying. Not an amazing situation to be in.
Yeah, it's Fateee.
Let's see what we go for.
Feel it.
Play a bronze, that they don't even miss one of these golds. For options, you take one of the good ones. They're one of these two. Or maybe even Charity, playing the lowest. Playing the lowest would also be fine in a situation for Fate. There's a lot of options on the table. Yeah, deal 8. Deal 8 is absolutely fine because you're going to play another Renfri. You don't want the long-term abilities. And I think I don't know if Sol has been a bit thrown off by that bleed, but I don't really agree with this replacement. You want to be stacking your range row, you're going to have to put this Bowman on range row to get the most value. So you're denying points onto your Great Oak by playing units front row. But yeah, we see the Pella, we see the build.
Ye who wander on the gale, ye we summon, ye we call.
Lydia for the spell would be very reasonable, as would just going Roderick, just play your Renfrey, line up that next leader ability. And Bountiful Harvest is Bountiful Harvest.
It was merely an illusion. Though Gwent
Why not take arguably the best bronze spell in the game? And Neophyte, bad. You obviously want to avoid your Roderick, giving them 3 points for no reason.
you're dead already.
This is the, I mean, it works out considering there was luckily enough there was a 2-power unit on the back row, but you know that wouldn't have had to be the situation. So just put the units on the back. We would be looking at the same situation. Nothing here is row locked for Skytel. So, but you know these things work, don't they? These things have a tendency to work out. Yeah, there is a serious risk of there just being left by its health side.
Yeah, it's Fateee. Go ahead. Feel it.
Damage all, stratagem, all are kind of decent. Yeah, stratagem, and then again, I think at this point it's a foregone conclusion. You maybe take the 8 damage. I'll set to 12, and they're just going straight for it. Straight for it. Just take the 20 power leader ability. That's reasonable. Yeah, like this. Use the Great Oak to set that to 1. Yeah. Just see what they choose to do. You're obviously in a quite clumsy situation here as Skytel.
I know the truth.
Buying onto Great Oak makes a lot of sense. Look how stacked that front row is for the Skytel, for the guard line. And here, you probably use the leader to kill a 4. You know a Great Oak's coming, so you want to clean up that row. Use your leader to kill a 4, and then use your Witcher to move the other 4 down. That also works.
They'll pay for my stolen birthright.
So boost by base, 1 copy, damage by 7. Damage by 7 is probably your option here. Damage by 7 makes sense. Then play the lowest, depending on what the lowest is. Yeah. Yeah, looking to get that board a little bit cleaned up. Maybe an argument for, instead of hitting that Renfrey and setting it to 2, hitting the 4 power 1, so you can shuffle back Milva and get back with your Witcher. But this is actually going to be a lot closer than I expected. A lot of points going to be out for Fate. You have the Vilgeforts to kill something spooky. They do have an Artaud. Yeah, so they're going for the Artaud. I think that's reasonable. You never quite know what's coming last. You've got last say, save your big remove. Go on to the Milva, yeah. Kind of the thing I was thinking about is floating it without using a leader. There. I mean, the smart thing to do here is to discard Vilgefortz.
An interesting.
I mean, it usually works out, but in that situation, discard the Vilgefortz. You're up on points, and if you discard it, you know, you're good. You're good. But Fate has drawn it. Fate's drawn it, so we're going into a third game. But yeah, in that situation, usually it's going to work out. Usually it's going to work out absolutely fine, but just discarding Vilgefortz there is probably your best option, just to play around any nonsense. Get those lined up. And this will be the final match of the final. So this is final match of the final. Interesting ring to it. Okay, so we do have the last match coming up, which is going to be, just get the this up again. So it will be Guerrilla Tactics against Guerrilla Tactics. You decide the mirror. So this is kind of what I was saying. Now Fate has to do this from blue. Which, you know, you don't want. Nilfgaard can usually have a good enough time against Goetel to mean that you just hit that on blue. Except that you have a reasonable job, you know, even if you don't get a steal onto the Emperor, steal onto the Zoltan. But those games are gone. It all comes down to this, the mirror match, and they've actually gone for very different setups. So we have Fate on the Saskia version, whereas Sol is going for the more traditional, for lack of a better word, of just playing units as they should be, not spammed out. But I do like this Saskia Harmony version coming out from Fate. So we have the things you would expect, you know, the Milva, the Dwarven Chariots, the Munra and the Zoltan. But then we also have some slight differences, you know, all the Harmony cards, the Antherion, the Chameleon, the Percival. As you'll also see, there is a Dusk aspect in there as well. And a lot of Elves, a lot of Witches, with the aim kind of being to overwhelm Saskia. So, kind of not too worried in this situation as Fate, in terms of, are you going to get like outpointed in round one? That's a far gone conclusion. Really comes to it, just slam down that Saskia. All's good in the world.
May your sword and arm be one.
I think this is reasonable. Definitely reasonable, just recognizing that you don't need to play this Saskia. At least not yet. You see if it you know, becomes a bit of a scary situation, then you can assess that. But the death of that Swordmaster does mean there's another Harmony trigger coming, which will not only boost the Dryad Fledgling on the board, this aspect gets boosted as well. As soon as they press their leader ability. Should I say the stratagem? Yep. Very nice and clean bit of removal with Witcher. Should really use it by its proper name, like the Saboteur. There are quite a few cat witches out there. And yeah, and Maxi Oh, that's got to hurt. That has got to hurt. Renfrey being that low down, Great Oak being missed as well. I think that's definitely a decky shuffle. Got a shadow of a doubt. I mean, in fairness, they do have the Munra, the Zoltan, that last way to get the Rowdy Dwarves in the form of Chariot. Is, you know, a nice little choice, you know. Here is the just slamming down the Berserker. That's just going to get you a few points. Triggers the harmony. Gets you a bit of an engine going. Let's play it sooner rather than later. Here as Fate, I guess it all comes down to how much Fate thinks that he needs round control. If they want it, and I would argue it's definitely worth doing, considering the dust aspect is very nice in a short round. Saskia in a round 2 is a lot of pressure to put down. You can definitely extend round 2 with Saskia, not commit that many resources, and still probably come out card up. Yeah, thinking on that choice, but it does look like they're going for that round control. I mean, on the flip side, I think the Saskia Harmony version kind of doesn't mind either way. You can definitely get a bit of an aggressive push on with all the Harmony cards and still be happy with that short round. You know, you've got Renfrey, you've got the Dusk aspect. You're usually pretty happy. But in this situation, a pass from Fate would put a bit of a threat on Sol, because that is 9 points to need. It's going to require some leader abilities. Yeah, I mean, I personally would really like to see a pass, but okay, they do go for the Chameleon. Because the problem is now, that's a very low tempo play, that's 5 points, and depending on what your opponent does, you're opening up to giving them a little bit nicer a pass. You know, requiring 10 points from them is a big ask. Big ask. Requiring, let's see if they'll play like 8 points here. Asking 6 points of them, a lot less. 7 points rather. But asking 7 points instead of 10. 7 points is a bronzed. At the Doragare, although being lower tempo, gives them a better pass. Need 9 points instead of 10. But I guess it does pose the same question. It maybe dodged a bit of a bullet in that situation. And for Sol, I think your choice, yeah, straight for that. But yeah, it was just using your leader, going for the Chariot, but obviously had that in the back of his. Didn't need me to transmit that that decision to him. He does take the round. Means he can decide how this one plays out. Not a terrible hand for either side. That's kind of the nuts. Got both of the dwarves you're looking for. You've got the Chariot, so your Munro's good to go. If this round gets pushed a little bit, I think honestly the answer here is just putting down the Saskia. Just accepting that you're not, even if you hold on to it here, don't get much value going forwards. It does probably get a response from your opponent where they just pass on you, but the alternative, alternative else is kind of questionable. Could go for the Zoltan. He chooses to go for. Which I also don't mind. I think really what I was getting at was don't just play one of the bronzes. You need to commit something and try and fight for this card. Play one of the stronger bronzes that's going to stronger golds that's going to put some pressure on the round. Could definitely take the sentry. The sentry is not unreasonable considering what you're doing. Yeah, and put it on the front. And now a leader. Yeah, and a leader takes out the Zoltan. Very nice. Very, very nice. So Munro here would play 4, 6, 7, 8. Well, I mean Munro would work. That is new information for me as well. I did not realise that Antherion was triggered by like Saskia. That's something I will definitely not forget. So here as Sol, you're definitely in a bit of a clumsy situation. You know, do you accept that as, okay, great, Saskia's out, Zoltan's out. Really all I've played is Rune Mage, which just improves my Renfrey. Get out of the round. Just maybe even play your Triss. Just play your Triss. Grab that Renfrey. I mean, I would personally played that Triss Butterflies, you know. Grab that Renfrey, make sure you're not missing. Your opponent has to play something. You're already in this situation accepting that you're going with card down. So you may as well use that low tempo play in the form of Triss to value. But I guess it's reasonable holding it if you're a little bit spooked by the idea of missing those bigger cards, hoping that after the reshuffle it's all. Okay, playing out the Munro, very, very risky. That was maybe a bit of a mistake from Fate, expecting no answer from it, but yeah, definitely a risky play, and definitely will suffer for that.
The waters of Broccolon, their taste still upon my lips.
Sol recognizing that and pressure on. Got here, destroy a unit, damage all, damage, spawn the stratagem, spawn Poppy, fair enough. So for them, they picked the stratagem. 12 is probably best. Alright. Definitely reasonable. Yeah, now as Sol, you just are not scared of these rowdy dwarves. There's definitely circumstances where you'd play that Zoltan to kill the 2 rowdy dwarves just to value. But here, there's no situation. You can hit the 6, hit the chariot. Honestly, I would never mind thinking it's his leaders. I was going to say use the leader to kill the Dryad. But yeah, I think that's not unreal. Play down your leader. It's a strange one because you can still hold it. When you play stratagem, you can still like hold those points in effect. Being pressured here. Yep, removing the Zoltan, don't mind at all. And very neatly cleaning up the board with the Milva, which I like a lot. So here, leader Great Oak. It's not the best Great Oak you're ever going to see, but you can deny them any Munro value. Leader to kill a Rad Dwarf, then Great Oak to kill the 2-1. Again, as I said, not amazing value, but your Great Oak is not going to get much value here. Just because of how it's kind of got itself set up on the board. Yep, and does choose to take that line. I think that's correct. I think the Renfrey may be looking to have bronze player unit. Watching that Percival's Percival bit of value. Definitely a shame if that's a choice. Plus there is a very big dust bet to come. Oops, not to. Wouldn't like to call this game either way, because maths. So although it's a big stretch, you know, there's still the Renfrey to come. Still the Renfrey to come and a huge dust aspect. Because Renfrey Killer 9 is 16 points right there, and deal 8 all of a sudden ahead, even though the gap here is huge. There's huge points to come out from Fate, and points from Soul really aren't big. What's that? Ambitiously a 9. Although it's a huge point gap, it's going to get clawed back very quickly. Stratagems makes sense. Yeah, pick stratagems, and then unfortunately, arguably the worst choices they could have taken. Yeah, boost by the adjacents. So not the best options by any means. The problem with not running Rune Mage, right? You run the risk of getting some slightly underwhelming options. Should still be enough. Is this a draw? It's a draw. We're playing it again. Oh! Yeah, looks like that really mattered. That really mattered. We'll actually have to look. Did they... don't know if Fate maximised the value from the leader there. Playing the units next to each other and that kind of thing. Don't know if you maximised the value there. Maybe some drop points. Maybe some drop points. Go again. Still all tied up. That's a big one. I feel like that was very unfortunate for Fate, in all honesty. I think Saul could have... I can't really fault much that Saul did. But in terms... Fate made a couple of mistakes, but was still looking very dominant, and unfortunately that Renfrey just didn't quite come off. Really punished by that, by the curse on the end. Similar sort of quality hands for each player. Obviously very different sort of style of approach to using guerrilla tactics. I'm probably going to be biased. I personally prefer the Harmony version. Not that it's better or worse, just I just prefer how it plays out, but yeah, in terms of which is better, I couldn't say for sure. I think the Harmony version is a little bit better of a longer round, but I think the version that Soul is running has a bit more flexibility. Is going to be a little bit more. It's more of a jack of all trades kind of card, kind of setup rather. And interesting choice to use the Berman strategically to get the right amount of damage on, so that your Silver still gets itself shuffled back into deck, still gets you that value. And that is obviously the game you play running Milva. Is sometimes she can get a little bit awkward. So here, yep, you want to flip one of those, and then something like a Berserker. Yep, need to stop calling the players because it's happening far too often. But yeah, something like the Berserkers, you know, very non-committal, triggers Harmony, gets some damage down on the board. There's really a downside to it. Then here, moving the freeze, not too bad. Does make him Milva come out, which is a little awkward, so maybe you just... yeah. Happens before I can say it. Maybe you just dip out of the round, but... yeah, I need to stop calling these things. That's not terrible. Not a terrible format. And true to form, Nickers shows up exactly when you do not need him. So Renfrey's found for Fateee. But the gang, just 2 bricks. These mulligans have been very, very simple. So yeah, Fateee can just improve the hand as much as possible. Maybe throw in the Saboteur. Or maybe the Swordsman. Don't see the Swordsman getting too much value, but chooses not to throw anything, which I think.
A pleasure to bleed you.
Yeah, probably throw down the Swordsman, develop that engine.
May your sword and arm be one.
And the added bonus for Fateee, of course, is that this Dusk aspect is just getting that carryover every single turn as well. So although it feels good to like play out the cards, you know, maybe get some pressure down, your opponent's still benefiting when they have that Dusk aspect. They're going ahead bit by bit. So here you probably just go like for like. Yep, play your gang. It does give your opponent a pass, of course, but you're not going to be too sad about that. Play your Chameleon, say goodbye to the round. This is kind of the deciding point for Saul. Does he push or does he just accept that 10 card round? With that hand. Okay, we're going to see it. Saul's got somewhere to be, you know. That draw's thrown up his schedule. He just wants it done and really goes for it. Maybe wants to push for that 2-0. Got me interested. I'm leaning forwards. However, the quality of Fate's hand means that this push should be pushed back. If I'm Fateee here, I don't feel too concerned, basically. I think you have to answer those dwarves, and then you can lead her to move that. Yeah, kill that one. Yeah, I think that's a good response. Obviously, a few ways you can do that, but I think that most efficient of them all. Very nicely done. We do see the Bowman out. Get the damage. Just gonna say, praying for that Zoltan ping to deny an engine, which works out. I think here is Fate. You have to go Zoltan now. Go Zoltan, hit their Zoltan. Probably hit their Berserker, because that kind of lines up your most likely way of thinning up their side for like a Great Oak, because if the ping hits the Berserker, they lose a unit on that row. Maybe even opt for a leader here, just to deny that path. They do. Yeah, nicely played by Fate, and this gets Fate back in a very dominant position, where it's kind of goals round the chase at this point. And so he kind of has a decision to make. Does he still keep pushing? Or does he recognise, okay, I'm going a card down, let's just value. Maybe play the Saboteur. We'll play both Saboteurs and say goodbye to the round. Which we may be seeing right now. And if you're Fate, you do not play Munro here. Play out the Chameleon. And then each turn kind of get some carryover value on your effect. Because Zoltan is still pinging away the points, remember. Although it's really, really slow to play the Chameleon, you've gained yourself that time. By playing that Zoltan, you've gained yourself the ability to play a little bit slower. And Zoltan getting the 2 point will hit the round just fine. This is a little bit awkward for them. Was it a mistake by Sol? I don't know what the plan was. Maybe forgetting about the armor. Now has to try and set up the damage, which is really doable without playing Great Oak. Maybe quite a big mistake from Sol here. Yeah, that's quite a big mistake. So yeah, here is Fate. So you could play Siege Chariot plays for 7. Siege Chariot in the last leader is not unreasonable. Just play out that Chariot. Play out that Chariot, use the leader. They'll put it back into deck if you are so inclined. You're actually down to one last move. Does go for the Munro. And not something I really agree with, because I don't think you need to in this situation. Because playing it, you should be playing your Munro to save important stuff, but it doesn't save anything important. It saves siege towers and a leader charge, which Munro is definitely worth quite a bit more than. A little bit of punishment coming in. Onto that. And you have to recognise here that the situation's getting a bit dire. Yeah, the pass is fair enough. You can play your siege tower here. Use your last bit of leader. I think it's probably the way you want to go. Save that Great Oak, save Renfrey. Obviously, Great Oak is going to lose value, but even at his worst, Great Oak is worth more to you than a siege tower. So I think the option here is should be pretty obvious. Six points from your leader, 7 points from a chariot, perfectly fine. Can you shuffle her back? Oh, points. Yes. Yes, you can. You can also shuffle her back, get the point, and click your chameleon to get that extra point on the... But chooses not to shuffle back. I think it's... You can argue either way. It does mean if you find a Saboteur, it's going to be a little worse. But I guess that's the thing. Like Saskia said, there are... If I was a betting man right now, I would have to call for Fate just because of the quality of the cards left. Dusk aspects, very big. You don't find Saskia. Honestly, here, if I'm Fate, I play Renfrey and I pray for the player bronze, play a card of your choice. I draw a card of your choice, rather. So this is very punty for Saul as well, surprisingly. Because, you know, this is... You'd look at this hand and on the surface, you know, this is great. They've got Rune Mage, they've got the 2 towers, they've got Monroe, perfect. But the missing Renfrey, they need to put some of that back if they want to have it off of Triss Butterflies, which is definitely good. But they could be saved by that. That is an insanely good pull. The Experimental Remedy means that they can get one of those siege towers, the chariots rather. Throw back a chariot, still get the Monroe value. That is insanely good value off of the Rune Mage. Bear with me, my cat has seen a bird and is
Wanna know why?
doing the weird chirping noise that cats make out the window. Hello, it's just a bird. Fine. So what options have we got? 7 play the lowest. Yeah, unfortunately that Saskia getting missed is quite big, you know, but 14 points missed. However, the Chameleon, surprisingly good value, in all honesty. Get some very nice value. Because we're looking at basically every proc is a 4 points. 2 points onto Percival, point onto the Dryad, point onto Lake Guardian.
The waters of Broccolum, the taste still upon my lips.
Very nice trade-off, isn't it? But yeah, we'll just have to see if it costs missing the Saskia. That's very, very unfortunate. Looking for killer 10. You get killer 10. Killer 10 is always the option. Take out Percival. Yeah, and they're taking that. And anything in this situation's fine. Maybe deal the 8. Try and hit something valuable. Yeah. That's some big hits. Taking out the 3 is really big. Because obviously it was operating as an engine. You know, it was putting a point onto the Dryad Fledgling and the Dusk aspect every single time. So it was a 1-10 engine. So they did kill the engine. And not killing the 2. But that should be enough. That is actually enough, right? If my maths is correct. I won. I won. Unbelievable. So congratulations to Fate. In terms of prize money and all of that fun stuff. All that fun stuff, it looks like the $50 will go to Fate. That Call Saul will get $30. And then the winner of the 3rd place playoff will be coming up next with between Kaban and the Kemka. Again, I'm so sorry if I'm saying that name incorrectly. Will then get $20. But that last game was, I mean, I was not expecting the mirror to be that good. see a draw and then just a point off. Very, very nice games. Very, very nice games. I'm going to take a very, very short break just while we have a second. Bye. It would help if I could get any. Trying to put my be right backs on, but looks like it doesn't want to behave. Oh no, no it does. Okay, I will be back shortly.